Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. This week on the Facebook Live, I'm going to be talking about something called pattern interrupt, which does what it says on the tin basically. It interrupts a pattern of thought, a minor behaviour, it stops it in its tracks. If you've done any NLP work, so you've learned maybe something in practitioner or the associate, then you'll already know about pattern interrupt, and you'll know that it's to do with something called strategies, which is just another NLP term for patterns. And we have strategies for everything. We run strategies for absolutely everything. So you'll have a waking up strategy, a getting up strategy, a cleaning your teeth strategy, a driving strategy, learning strategy, forgetting strategy, motivation, all kinds of things. You'll have some negative ones as well. You'll run strategies about how to be nervous, how to lack self-belief, how to be demotivated. And these strategies start off with a trigger of some kind, and then they run through a really specific sequence. Hi, Brett. And they run through this sequence and they'll go right to the end until they get to the point where you've got the outcome. So if you're running your demotivation strategy, you've got your trigger at the start, and by the end you feel demotivated. So a pattern interrupt stops the pattern, stops that strategy in its tracks. So for instance, let's think of a nice strategy. So my buying strategy, quite a simple little strategy. So my buying strategy is that my trigger is I see something that I want, then I have to have a look at the price tag. I have to think whether or not it's a good value. And then I get a good feeling about it and I go and buy it. And that's my strategy. So I see something, have a think, get a good feeling and I buy it. If I'm in a shop and the shop assistant starts to tell me stuff about it or doesn't go through those steps, then I don't buy. I get irritated. And you've probably been in shops as well where you want the thing, but you really can't be bothered with the shop assistant that's really pushing you for a sale. And it's probably because they're not going through your trigger and through the sequence to get you to buy. They don't know what your sequence is. So they're scrambling your strategy and you don't buy. So if you wanted to scramble your nervousness strategy or your demotivation strategy or your lack of self-belief strategy, then you do something similar. You scramble it by putting an interruption in there. And it stops the strategy getting to the end. So what kind of thing can you do? So you probably already know when you've had something triggered and you're starting to feel bad. So before you get to the full-blown situation where you feel really terrible, early enough, you say to yourself something like, and I'm going to give you a bit of a list so you can choose your favourite, something like stop. And stop's a really powerful word. So you can say it inside your head. You don't have to say it out loud. And you can say, oh, hi, Anthony. No, don't say hi, Anthony. Say stop. And it'll stop the pattern in its tracks. Now, if you prefer, you could also say something like delete, delete, delete. That's another one. You're saying really firmly, you're saying it to yourself as though you were really wanting someone to delete something, and it's quite urgent and it's fast and quite loud. So delete, delete, delete is another one. Another one that some of the equestrians like is saying So almost like you're talking to a child or you're talking to a pet or a horse, and they're about to do something really naughty. And again, it's got to be said with a bit of firmness behind it. You've got to put your best teacher, headmistress, headmaster voice on. Another one, again, this is from a lady called Kathy, who's an equestrian. She told me about this one, but I'm going to pinch it because I quite like it, is to say enough. And that's what she says when her nerves are kind of bubbling up. She starts saying enough. Now, they're all quite sharp ones. They're quite abrupt, and they're quite loud. Stop, delete, enough. You might prefer something a bit softer. So something a bit softer would be something like a more mindful kind of thing to say, which would be, I'm all right now, and now, and now. So you're putting yourself into that moment, and in that second, you probably are all right. So I'm all right now, and now, and now. And because it kind of continues that one, it's quite nice because it gives you something to think about. So you're occupied, and so you're not necessarily channeling yourself down into this same old pattern. Lots of people obviously have what ifs, and lots of people, the what ifs run like films in their head. So sometimes if you know you're going into that disaster movie again, another one to do is to really consciously, so with real awareness and purpose, change the ending. Just make it a happy Hollywood ending. I mean, if you're an equestrian, you can be riding a unicorn, you can do what you like. It doesn't matter that it makes no sense or it's just imaginary. You're just trying to stop a pattern. And if you can make yourself giggle at the same time, then that's really good. So use pattern interrupt early enough when you know you've just set off that trigger, you're not in the full-blown nerves or full-blown demotivated state. Use it early enough and often enough, even if you've got to repeat it time and time again. So you've said stop, and then the nerves are coming back. So you say stop, and the nerves are coming back. You say stop, and you keep doing it, even if it's in a row. It's all in the same couple of minutes. And funnily enough, that becomes part of the new pattern, and it gets rid of the old one. So have a play with pattern interrupts, see which one you like. Let me know what your favourite pattern interrupt is, what works well for you. And I will see you next time. Bye for now. Bye.